Yes, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our webinar. Today, again, we're talking about energy communities. Internal governance for energy communities is on the agenda. My name is Katharina Krell. I'm a thematic expert for Greener Europe with the Interact Europe Policy Learning Platform, and I like to present you my team members. So we're having here Simon Hunkin, thematic expert for Greener Europe, like myself, and our communication and partnership expert, Vladimir Sestovic, and we're going to carry you through this webinar this afternoon. A few words of housekeeping. As usual, the audience can interact with us through the chat. We have also lined up quite a few polls for you. Who has been there last week is going to be similar. We have a quiz for our participants, so pay good attention to what is presented. We're going to query you afterwards. All right. So Simon is going to monitor the chat. Whatever question you bring in the chat, he will bring to the speakers. So today is number 2 in our mini-series on energy communities. Last week, we talked about the role of local authorities in enabling energy communities, and you should have already received the follow-up email with the recordings and the material. And today, we have the internal governance on the agenda. So, Simon, what is this about, and why are we talking about this?
Yeah, great. So indeed, before we dive into the presentations, I'll briefly set the scene a bit. So in our last webinar, as Katharina says, we explored how local authorities can support and launch renewable energy communities. It's clear that beyond the challenges of establishing these communities, internal governance is one of the most decisive factors in the long-term success of a community. So governance challenges need to be considered from the very beginning, thinking about how do we balance democratic participation with efficient decision making, how do we ensure a fair distribution of costs and benefits amongst members, and how we maintain transparency whilst dealing with complex technical or financial information. In reality, the challenges become even more tangible. So energy communities often need to manage a very diverse set of roles and expectations. Members may have different levels of expertise, different engagement or financial capacity, and disagreements can arise over investment priorities, pricing strategies, or how shared infrastructure is accessed and managed. We also have to think about local authorities, which remain key actors, but their involvement needs to be carefully designed. We want to have active citizens, not token participants. That requires clear processes and shared responsibilities. So today we'll look more closely at several sort of core governance dimensions that communities need to define early on. So we'll be thinking about legal and organizational structures. So what legal form to choose and what liabilities come with that form. Membership rules and participation. So who can join and under what conditions? How do we keep people engaged? Decision making and leadership roles. So how do we structure information sharing, voting, day-to-day management in a fair and transparent way, ensuring that power does not become concentrated in a single organization or member. It is particularly important in relation to public authorities, which are often the initiators, but shouldn't be always in the driving seat. We also need to think about benefit sharing and social impact. So how are savings distributed? Should the community pursue social goals, such as energy poverty reduction or broader inclusion, or is it only about economic benefit? And of course, we also have to think about partnerships. So how should communities collaborate with DSOs, municipalities, private companies, and civil society, and who's responsible? So these issues are not purely administrative. They determine whether energy communities can thrive or not. To explore these topics, we've prepared the following program with the inputs of our community projects. So after this introduction, Katharina will give you a little interactive session, and then we'll move to the good practices and project experiences. So we'll look first at energy community models in Tuscany, presented by Susanna Giacanti and Greta Alberici from the Regional Agency for Waste and Resource Management, partner within the REC4EU project. Then we'll hear a perspective from Belgium on balancing rights and obligations between local authorities and citizens, presented by Benjamin Wilkin of Energy Commune, also within REC4EU. And finally, we'll hear some insights from Romania on unlocking citizen power, going beyond consultation, which will be presented by Georgiana Nedelia from the Northeast Regional Development Agency, part of the Sire Energy project. After this presentations, we'll host a panel discussion followed by a quick participant quiz. So again, as Katharina said, we'll be making sure you pay attention. So listen well. Oop, don't know what happened to the slides there. I'll keep it very quick. Presentation of the policy learning platform, because you heard it most the last week. But of course, we have a lot of resources available, so check out the website. And of course, feel free to discuss with us on the access to expertise activities such as peer reviews and matchmakings. I will take a moment to mention again the collection on energy communities. Here you'll find all of our policy briefs, stories, event reports, recordings of past webinars, and so on. So you'll find that link in the chat. And with that, we'll launch into the interactive part. Katharina, back to you.
Thank you, Simon. Yes, so we have a little warm-up quiz for you. You have seen the QR code. You will see it very quickly again. Please join the Slido because we will be using Slido throughout the entire webinar. So let's launch the first word cloud so we can see again. There you go. There you have again the QR code. And so we would like to take up the lessons from last week and see, we want to hear from you. Do you have incentives addressed to energy communities in your territory? And please type your responses. If you don't have any, type no, and then we will see how big the no becomes. But if you have some, type down what type of incentives you are having. And you will see today some questions that have been submitted to us by two of our speakers. So we use also the poll to answer the questions that they have to you as audience, and that has been one of them. Okay, already see a lot of you have ERDF funds. Calls for proposals for studies and citizen bonus participation, pilot action. Okay, I haven't seen any no on this slide yet. Also, if you don't have any, please type no, because we want to see if some of you don't have any incentives. And if I see no, that means that all of you have incentives, and that is already interesting as well. Okay, most of you use ERDF funds and then local funds and operate through calls of proposals. Not for energy communities. Okay. All right. Only 24 people taking the poll. So don't be shy, get connected. I see you are many more online. We're almost 100 people already. Okay. This doesn't look as if it's changing much more. But you can still submit. We will unshare. So if you still have some incentives that you want to fill in this poll, don't hesitate to continue. But we're moving on. Good, but we see that some have ticked no, so it's not obvious. Not everybody has support. Good, then let's move on to our first two speakers. Our first presentation comes from Tuscany and is a shared presentation by Susanna Ceccanti and Greta Alberici. And I think you have a lot of material assembled for us. So with no further ado, over to you for that.
Thank you, Katharina. I'm waiting for my PowerPoint presentation. In the meantime, I can tell you good afternoon. My name is Susanna Ceccanti from the Regional Agency of Tuscany region, and which from now on I will call the agency because ARRR is a bit difficult to pronounce. So the agency will be the name from now on. My colleague Greta Alberici and I are glad to be here today to share with you some elements we hope will be useful for the whole group. Thanks to Interreg Europe, Katharina and Simon and all the team for organizing such interesting and fruitful events. Me and Greta represent the spokespersons of a wider working group of colleagues in our agency. They are present here today listening to us. But we are not technicians, so we hope you will forgive us if we won't be so precise in explaining some technical issues relating RECs, sometimes could be accidents. So I can go on with my second. Well, in particular, our today presentation will be split into two parts. I will present the overview of energy communities in Tuscany, and Greta later on will speak about the future RECs Toscan Observatory. Let's begin from where we have started. Sorry for, okay. And our path towards REC. Well, the agency is an in-house company of the Toscan regional government and is lead partner of the REC4U project, kicked off in March 2023. This was the very first time we were running an European project dealing with REC in Tuscany. But before that, Tuscany Region Administration in 2022 entrusted the agency with two main official tasks. The first was the territorial facilitation, where the agency provides energy consultancy services, dissemination and communication on REC's initiatives, and offer technical assistance and support to the regional administration itself in promoting RECs. The second task was the creation of an ITP platform aimed at collecting and cataloging all RECs present in Tuscany, but this will be described later by Greta. I have problem with changing the slides, but okay. Oh, sorry. Okay. Sorry, I'm losing time. Maybe, okay. The results achieved by the agency since 2022 are the following. You can see many figures. You can have a look at the figures in the slide. I just can point out the most interesting one. Over 300 initiatives promoted, more than 100 RECs met, over 60 RECs supported, more than 20 memoranda of understanding signed, and the launch of the RECs Observatory. So this is quite an interesting result with our activities with the region. Next slide. The agency is lead partner. Oh, sorry, really sorry, but okay. The region is lead partner of the REC4U project. We involved the Tuscany region as partner, being the owner as managing authority of the policy that we were supposed to improve. And during the exchanging phase among partners, we identified one good practice presented by ALEC, the French partner. In fact, the Nouvelle Aquitaine region launched a regional call for proposal, which finances investments in RES and economic and technical pre-feasibility studies. Tuscany region, finding this idea valuable, decided to include pre-feasibility costs among the eligible expenses into the final version of the Toscan call. The call was then launched in April 2025. That's the ERDF call I was speaking about in the poll before. And thanks to this, we can announce that we have achieved our policy improvement with REC4U project. So, but besides REC4U, the agency is involved in other two projects dealing with RECs, and they are the Invece project, is an Interreg Maritime Italy-France, and the RENOS. RENOS is a national project focused on the creation and management of one-stop shops. You may be interested, if you like, in reading a document that the agency produced in the framework of Invece, and is entitled Good Practices and Development Models on RECs in Tuscany, where we have classified Toscan RECs from different points of view. You can look at the slide to see the figures which represent a summary, a picture, updated at the beginning of September 2025. This categorization is constantly monitored by us and updated by our colleagues, and this data will be contained in the future IT platform. So we can mention that in Tuscany, there are 51 RECs already established, the 61%, of which 21 already qualified by the energy service operator. 11 RECs in the process of being set up, and 31 other initiatives that are in the evaluation phase or a pathway has been initiated through an expression of interest. So 93 inventoried RECs in total. It's interesting to see which are the different categories that we have extrapolated by our analysis and for you this afternoon. For example, who are the promoters of these RECs? Most of them are public bodies. You can see 52%. Or which are the different legal forms that RECs have chosen in the various Toscan provinces. The most chosen one is the non-recognized association with 65%. And what about the most common territorial level that Tuscany RECs are operating in? It is the municipal level with 48%. Okay, next slide. We have made a comparison among our Italian regions because it's important to see the differences, you know. And the RENOS project helped us to do this. The RENOS project is coordinated by the Italian Network of Energy Agency, and this enabled us to make some comparisons between RECs in the different Italian regions. The Toscan model that you have just seen in the previous slides are the same almost everywhere in Italy because the national legislation is the same for everybody and is binding also. So the only exception could be the regions of Lombardia, the north, and Emilia-Romagna, the north, where multi-service companies like ERA, IREN, ENGIE have accompanied more closely the development of RECs, differently from Tuscany, where the process was mostly led by public bodies or mixed private-public, as we have shown before. So next. As you can see in this table, the official figures registered at national level are different and less precise with respect to our regional monitoring. In fact, as you see here, Tuscany reads 67 RECs, while at the end of September, we were aware of 93, as shown previously, meaning that our monitoring work is successful for this aim of taking. Okay. Then there is we can make a comparison among European countries. Thanks to the experience gained with REC4U project, we realized that at the European level, there are some differences. Some countries like France and Spain is present here today. I saw a colleague from AEA, are at an advanced stage, in particular from a point of view of stakeholder engagement, communication, dissemination, and also for tackling energy poverty. While others like Poland and Slovakia, other two partners of REC4U, are still in the phase of giving a legal definition of RECs and have no regulations at all referring to RECs. But they are working on it, so they will manage. Furthermore, in other regions, we noted a great difference due to the regional national regulations, especially with regard to incentives, like in Belgium. Benjamin is here and can confirm this later if he wants, where there are no specific incentives for the shared energy, but only a discount in the energy bill. So, next. Okay. Which are the factors that, according to our experience, can influence the type of REC that is emerging in Tuscany? They are mainly two factors. The first is the territorial and social context. Every municipality would like to create its own REC. That's a kind of fashion, to copy what the territory next to mine is doing. I want to do the same, I want to be like him, and so on. This leads to fragmentation in the creation of two small RECs led by single municipalities. And so this leads to long-term stability issues as well. And the other refers to incentives. In fact, Tuscany region launched the RDF call, as I said before, to push the financing of RECs. And in the meantime, another high-performing call was launched at national level. And this was the National Recovery and Resilience Plan. All these cause, of course, the growth of a large number of RECs projects in our territory, but just with the aim of getting money and being financed. The question is, so how many of these just born RECs will survive in the future? Which are the future perspectives? A reflection is needed, and as it's clear that if they don't have a solid structure or create a strong system, they run the risk of being limited and unsustainable once established. Therefore, as an added value, it's necessary to evaluate the possibility of providing RECs with additional services that they can offer to their members in order to expand their profitable activities, maximizing the incentive itself. Like, for example, the use of thermal energy, the implementation of energy efficiency, smart metering, e-mobility, social services, education, and especially awareness campaign for the users. Next one. So how can public authorities, no, sorry, this is the previous one. It's very difficult for us to choose which of the newborn RECs can be identified as a best practice. We have many of them, and we would like to mention all of them, but we can for sure say that there are some to be mentioned because of their peculiar characteristics, as for example, the first is a REC focusing on social impact, where the members gave up getting their incentives and donated them to the local parish for vulnerable families. Or a REC that exploits the energy of tourist infrastructures, strongly linked to the summer season, which during lower activity periods in winter, they provide the community with large amounts of clean energy, thus raising the local development. Or a large-scale cooperative model involving 1 province and 8 municipalities who cooperate to reduce costs, share infrastructures, and optimize the management. The last one, but not least, a REC that has planned to exploit the energy of an old hydro plant, so something more and different from the normal PV. So I'm nearing to the conclusion. Sorry to. So how can public authority favor all this? Public bodies may play a very important role in the process of establishing RECs in the territory. This was already said also on the 20th of November. How can this happen? They can, for example, act as guarantors of the process. Not necessarily they have to invest in plans, nor they are obliged to join the REC as a member. Only if they want. In the future, they can provide some infrastructures or merely join as a consumer. They can provide guidance, visibility, and networking opportunities by being the narrator of what's happening around, telling to the community about opportunities they can take by joining the REC. Or they could support citizens and new RECs without taking over management, but by creating trust, acceptance, and engagement. They could gather the key actors around the table, make them talk, and start a path. And last but not least, they can integrate RECs into the local planning.
2 minutes.
So now I leave the floor to Greta, who will describe you the future Tuscan Observatory. So Greta, the floor is yours.
Okay, 2 minutes. Okay.
No, 2 minutes for the end. Sorry.
Thanks, Susanna. As you said, the agency has been working since 2022 in the realization and continuous updating of a Tuscan RECs database that is born as an Excel file. This allowed us to collect data and various information on all the regional RECs to represent Tuscany's overall picture. Thanks to Invece project, we started thinking of a real observatory, and with the collaboration of the Florence and Siena universities, this Excel database will soon evolve in an interactive platform and will converge in the so-called Tuscany Region Observatory on RECs. This platform will include design and implementation of an open data IT platform to map and classify all RECs across Tuscany. Centralized collection of data and governance models, technical configurations, development stages, and business analysis. Simulation and management tools on energy sharing optimization, and it will be also a networking tool that supports exchanges among existing and emerging RECs. And there will be other sections that are currently developed by the universities. This platform will have the objectives to provide all stakeholders wishing to join a REC in their area with useful information on the RECs that are active or in the process of being established, collect information on how a REC can work, how to acquire the knowledge and the best practices that can ensure the most effective management of the communities, and allow the region to define specific energy and climate policies to support the territories at the RECs, and instantly update and monitor the evolution and data of the RECs. The agency is obviously interested in checking any comparison with other existing tools similar to ours at European level in order to improve the services to be offered to the different users. Such comparison was already held at national level to take inspiration, but at the same time not to create applications. Next, Susanna, please. Here
no, I'm not. I can. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Here you can see a few slides of the preview of the work in progress platform. Next again, thank you. So the Tuscany Region Observatory will be the base of a cross-border observatory, which will also include other countries, starting from the other 4 territories partners of Invece project that are Sardinia, Liguria, Cortes, and the south region of France. But who knows, maybe to be extended also to other European countries, we hope. The common goal will be to exchange data, methods and governance models, and to harmonize monitoring tools and indicators. What next, Susanna, thanks. What have we learned? The key lessons that we have learned in participating to these REX projects are basically the following: to promote networks of REX rather than isolated REX, to ensure flexible policy design and for that support pre-feasibility studies, to strengthen the social dimension, trying to fight against energy poverty and involving citizens, to build open, updated data systems, and to combine technical, social, and environmental goals. We are concluding next. We are concluding our presentation and would like to leave you by suggesting you a link to a reel we have produced in the framework of the engagement path of REC4U project. The example refers to one of the best practices mentioned before by Susanna, Elbe Island REC. Please feel free to watch the reel at the link in the slide. And we thank you for your attention, and please don't hesitate to contact us via mail for any clarification or doubt emerging from this presentation. Thank you.
Thank you to both of you. This is a very interesting work that you're doing. Impressive record. You supported already 60 RECs and you have 93 energy communities established or in progress. And you are having a good overview. This is some precious data. This is, I'm sure, other people would also like to have something like that. I'm curious, you have presented the mostly chosen legal form, and you have also looked at who is promoting. Have you cross-checked which legal form is the preferred if an energy community is being carried by a citizen or citizen assembly, for instance? Did you check, is there any correlation?
Yeah, the legal forms of the RECs that we have surveyed with our analysis are not directly related to a particular type of promoter, but to how the promoter wants to structure the REC. And it depends also on the economic and professional resources available to it. I take an example. For example, a small municipality or cities and associations, for example, that don't have enough financial resources, in most cases would choose the unrecognized association. Why? Because it has a low cost of establishment and management is agile and smooth. The activity is limited to the management of shared energy and incentives. And in any case, if they want in the future, the legal form can be transformed and become a recognized association. The recognized association has a higher cost and a complete financial autonomy. And if there are several associations operating in the area and they manage to obtain public or private funding, the best option for them will be the recognized association. Mm-hmm. So there is another example about the foundation of participation. It's more complex. It's a mixed public-private because here the control is of the founding members. If on the other hand, they want to share control and management of the REC with other members, like citizens, association, or SMEs, they will opt for an association or a cooperative with one vote for one person.
Right. Okay. So this is interesting.
It's interesting and complicated. So if someone wants to be more informed about this situation in Italy, they can write us email, ask questions, and we will send them documents or some summaries about this.
Okay. Well, thanks for these explanations. I see more clearly. We're having a few polls for the audience, and these questions are coming from Susanna and Greta, and they would like to know if other territories also have a similar observatory, because Tuscany is looking for comparison with existing European platforms that provide an overview, support the stakeholders, collect operational models and good practices. So please let us know. Try to remove the gray bar. Do you also have an observatory in your territory? No, yes, or we're planning one, it's in development. Okay, Okay, none. Oh, yes, there is the first. Oh, yes, yes, yes. I think this is at least a few regions. And if it's yes, then I invite you to write later on in the chat who has said yes, so that we can collect this information and send it to Tuscany for comparison. Okay, great. So, Susanna, Greta, there is some inspiration to be had from other regions. Thank you very much.
Thank you to you, Katharina.
Very good. Thank you.
Good. Well, we have to use these webinars also to interact with each other and to serve you, right? So, then next poll. What type of legal entity is the most common for energy communities in your territory? So we try to keep it more generic. Do your energy communities rather take the form of a cooperative or like a general non-profit association? Other types of association, or is it a limited liability company or maybe a foundation? Because we might always think about energy community as an energy cooperative. This is often the case, as we can see here, 55%, but it's by far not the only used legal entity form. Although from our replies, it looks like it's the mostly chosen one, which is a very democratic form of organization. However, we can see there are also some limited liability companies, some associations, and I cannot see the result for foundation somehow. Is there anybody having a? No, 0. Okay. Okay. All right, so mostly cooperatives, followed by non-for-profit organization, other types of associations, and 40% and 40% limited liability companies. Great. And then a more qualitative question. Susanna presented examples where the energy communities try to create a social value. And we have the last poll for that. Is there any social value reflected in energy communities in your area? Yes, no, and if yes, how? So Susanna presented examples where incentives were donated to the local parish. Are you having any way to reflect social value in your energy communities? We've already touched on the topic of the link between energy communities and energy poverty in the last webinar, and we saw that this is not an obvious link, that it has to be specifically built in. So, okay, here it comes, energy poverty. For few projects, a social tariff. Seen examples from Spain where 50 members pay in, and for every 50 members, 1 member gets a free membership. Fight against energy poverty in rural areas. Yeah. Great. So is the energy poverty link, it's still the most obvious. Lower costs. Shares can be donated for others in need. Yes, this model we have seen already sometimes. Or the surplus goes to an energy solidarity fund, which then perhaps is used to fight energy poverty again. Setting social prices. Oh, this is interesting. And overall citizen participation. Okay. And some don't have a legal basis to work in this sense. Promotion of diversity. Boni. A foundation for local community development. Yes, we also see that sometimes. Discounts, yeah. Aha, it's linked to social housing. That is interesting. Okay. Good overview, Susanna and Greta. Does it give you the direction that you were hoping to see? You're muted.
Oh, I know.
Yes, I think
yes.
so.
Very interesting results. I will take them with my.
All right. Wonderful. Well, thank you very much. I think the social value is a topic that we will continue exploring next year. I think we've covered the most basics for the energy communities, but the social value and the other point that you've raised, what is the right size so that they are not too fragile and they can actually thrive in the long term. This is also a very interesting question to take forward. Okay, so thank you very much. And I think it's time to move on to our next presentation. We skipped the next poll due to time reasons. All right, so the next presentation will explore more in depth the potential contradictions that are there between the nature of a public body, which is supposed to support an energy community, and the more egalitarian, democratic structure where everybody has the same rights of energy communities. And Benjamin is going to take us a little bit through these contradictions and see how they can best be addressed. The floor is yours.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. Let me share my screen first on the right place. There we are. Do you see my screen?
Yes.
Great. So, hi, everyone. I'm Benjamin Wilkin. I'm working at Energy Commune. Energy Commune is a member of REC4U, and yes, that exists from a while now. And so, yeah, balancing rights and obligation is, let's say, my talk today. So, a few overview of Energy Commune and energy communities activities. So, since 2018, we start working on this thematic with a very small achievement. So, we had the possibility to change one article of a legal framework, making pilot project available. It was a small step, but with a huge impact. Then 1 year after that, we create our first pilot project that could be seen as a renewable energy community today. Actually, it is a renewable energy community today, but on that time, there were no legal framework, so it was just a pilot project. Then the year after, we set up the first solar sharing pilot project in a social housing company. 2 years later, we become the official energy sharing and community facilitator in Brussels area. Then we jump in REC4U project. Susanna talked about it. In 2024, we start another European project, Empower, and I will speak about this project mainly. So this project is how to integrate municipality into renewable energy communities. And this year we start as well the development of a software with a collaboration with a French company, a software to manage the data from the DSO to create bills without any mistakes. Bills to manage an electricity sharing activity. So this software is nearly done today. We are at the end of the test phase. And so this year we started Agricom project, a COSME funding, EU funding project. So it is about renewable energy community in the agri-food sector. We start a new pilot project in Wallonia. It's a pilot action, so an extension of REC4U project. It's the creation of a REC in a social housing company in the south part of Belgium. And yes, we become as well the facilitator again, but for the south part of Belgium. So that's for us. So yes, speaking about observatory for the Brussels area, you have the observatory and statistics that is made by the regulator, and so this is a quick overview, just to illustrate that the dynamic in Brussels is quite good about electricity sharing within or outside an energy community. As you can see, we have, let's say, few energy communities, but with many people on it. And the electricity sharing activity is mainly led by the sharing within the same building, and some peer-to-peer as well. So we have some data here. I think that we are behind Austria, that is quite ahead, but Brussels is not that bad. Lesson learned from mainly Empower projects. Yes, contradiction with municipalities. There are local authorities, but within an energy community, they don't have much power than the other participants. And this is related to the idea of the autonomy of the governance of an energy community that you can find at least in the European directive, and that must be translated in your national or regional laws. So this is a huge change because yes, the municipality cannot decide. It has one voice. I will come back later on this. Another one is that municipalities can be active members of an energy community, but they cannot assign their people to work for this entity because the energy community is a private entity. So it's a bit tricky. You cannot use people from the municipality to paint your house. You cannot use them as well to work in another private entity. So this is tricky. How do you do that? How do you contribute to this energy community as a municipality? And also, they cannot create market competition distortions. So it's really tricky to manage both the things and be an active member. Yeah, maybe it's obvious, but municipalities do not want to take any legal risks. But they forget that as they lose a lot of responsibility, risk is not that high at some point. Yes. Anyway, municipalities still must follow public procurement for some action to buy maybe electricity. But an energy community that is, or an energy sharing activity, more than an energy community, an energy sharing activity that can be hosted by an energy community can be done in a physical monopoly, depending the country, the region. You could have only one energy sharing activity in an area, in a perimeter, because it's physics, for instance. So there are no competition. So what's the idea to set up a public procurement to buy the electricity from this solely actor? This was from the municipality, let's say, perspective. Some contradiction from the citizen perspective. Usually, citizens complain about the municipalities, but they want the municipality to do all the work regarding the creation and the management of an energy community. Citizens want to be at the same step of authority than the legal authority, because yes, they can say we are at the same level, of course, but anyway, they want the municipality to be in to gain confidence or trust. So it means that they recognize that the municipality have something more than them. But also, most citizens have no idea about the economic activity of an energy community, the entrepreneurship aspect of an energy community, but neither the municipalities. So this is not easy. Furthermore, we have new challenges led by the last directive about energy communities and electricity sharing mainly. And in this directive, I would stress two things. The first one is we know from previous directives that that municipalities can join an energy community and participate to energy sharing activity. But if we look at the last directive, you could practice energy sharing outside of a labelized energy community. You have to make it through a legal entity, but this legal entity could not be an energy community. So if it's the case, does that change the level of power of a municipality? So in another word, if a municipality is involved in an energy sharing activity that is managed by a legal entity that is not an energy community, can the municipality have more power than in a labelized entity as energy community? So maybe the question is a bit difficult, but anyway. And the second point of this directive is that public bodies that are involved into electricity sharing activity should include vulnerable consumers. But what does that mean? If you are, what does mean the fact that the municipality own the electricity sharing activity? It's not clear yet. So, I would say that for both these changes, we still need clarification from the European Commission at some point. Then some lessons from Empower, at least. Okay, so if you are a municipality, or if you speak to a municipality, the first thing is that the municipality need to identify clearly what she really wants to do. Because going into an energy community or supporting an energy community have different level of actions, and we will see that later on. My advice is start small and then go step by step and train your employees. Really important. We have, or not finished yet, but a toolkit that coming from Empower project to support, let's say, municipalities, and I will go through three parts of them. The first is the loss of power. The second one is how to select an action or many actions. And the third one is let's say a procedural tree, a decisional tree, so to say. So the loss of powers, sorry, it's partially in French, but it's really important that the municipality and the people in the municipality have in mind that they will lost the power. So when this starts, because it's good from a political point of view, maybe they would say, let's create a community, it will be great, blah blah blah. Okay, then you have all your legal people that come and say, oh, you cannot do that, you cannot do that, oh, you have to follow these procedures and so on, and it became really difficult. But at the end, the municipality will join a private entity, so there will be a member as another. So you have lower responsibility than you think.
2 minutes.
Yeah. Then second tool, so to say, identification of the action. So there are, let's say, two families of action that you can do as a municipality: direct action, participate, sponsor, and indirect actions, promote, facilitate. And within this different action, you have something that is quite clear. You can become a consumer, I'm starting here, or a producer in a community, or a member without being a producer or a consumer, just being as member at the governance, or create it. But you can join an existing energy community. You can sponsor it with finance, or provide some roofs or land to put solar panel, for instance. And direct action is the information, organization of events, integrate EC in your policy objectives. One-stop shop at the municipality level, it's quite difficult, or you are a huge municipality. You can provide place to meet and so on. and even tools to facilitate the creation of community, not by yourself, but by the people or the company, the SMEs of your territory. And finally, this is in French, sorry, we are not very far yet. Once you know the activity you wanted to do, we are creating a kind of this procedure tree. So when you know what you want to do, maybe you choose that you want to become a member of an energy community. The idea is that you will be able to click here and to have all the procedures. What does that mean for me as a municipality? What rules should I follow? So this tool is not finished yet, unfortunately, and I don't have it yet in English. So these three tools are making, let's say, a toolkit. Yeah, then this is one question I had. I don't know if I have to go through it. But the question was how to ensure that energy communities are truly democratic. So first, the question is hard because what is democracy? I don't know. But my three advices are: the first one, have a clear definition of roles. Is a must, of course. Whatever who is involved into the energy community, the definition of roles is really very important. And for each meeting, remind the roles and rules of the discussion. At each meeting, why each meeting? Because people will change in the energy community, and also people will forget the rules. So rules and roles, each meeting. And finally, yes, it's a bit obvious, but transparency. You might speak about money, margin, gain, and loss. It's not it's bad words. You have to speak about them very frankly. And that's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Benjamin. This is very interesting. Congratulations. Very good overview. I like very much the overview of the support options and also the decision tree with then the standard operating procedures when you know what you want. So this is it's good to have like a vademecum to follow. Your organization acts as a facilitator and you have a good overview of what's going on. And in your experience from the type of support, what is the easiest to provide by a regional and the local government, given the nature that you have just explained?
Yeah, maybe it's a support that doesn't exist yet, but I will go back to the European directive. For me, giving back some natural authority to the local authority should be great, because it's difficult for a municipality to feel himself like herself, sorry, like a citizen, and it's impossible for a citizen to see the municipality as another citizen. So this difference does exist, and we need to manage it. And so maybe one idea that I have is that giving back some natural authority to the municipality could be done through the obligation to integrate vulnerable consumers. This obligation that is inside of the last European directive. So if you make it compulsory for a municipality to integrate vulnerable people, which is quite good because it's a public body. So they must consider the whole publication within its diversity. So you give back, let's say, an obvious authority to a local authority. And so, but it's a difference that it's obvious, and you can, a citizen in an energy community can accept it or not, and so create the community without the municipality. But if you take the municipality with you, you know that you take, let's say, a solidarity perspective with yourself. So maybe it's for the future, but I think it could reestablish a kind of, let's say, the natural difference between a local authority and the citizens.
So if a public body joins, automatically it will ensure that the vulnerable person household group is also represented. Yeah.
Yes, and this vulnerable consumer could be person or household, of course, because I think it's kind of obvious for anybody. But it could be also some. It could be schools, for instance, or some SMEs, small, or some economical sector. I don't know, whatever. So you can integrate political willingness into this.
And you have quite a good overview of what's going on in energy sharing. Have you seen in Belgium already examples where a public body is like the initiator of an energy sharing?
Yes, but let's say as a facilitator, because in one example, at the end, the municipality was not involved as a member in the REC, but yeah, she provides the PV plants, let's say, more or less. And in another example, our first pilot project actually, the municipality is still in, but they were yeah, they provide rooms for the meetings. They also provide the access to a PV plant. But they were really a follower, but they were an unfair follower because they didn't ask any legal. They didn't get a question on that time, but it was yeah, the legal framework didn't exist on that time, and they followed, and it works, and it still works. So yeah, these two examples. But otherwise, now that we have a legal framework, it's, let's say, more difficult.
Well, but now that we have a legal framework, maybe we're going to have some more security, and this is better for the public bodies which don't like to have that kind of risk.
Absolutely, absolutely. But we still have question to answer.
Yes, I think we need some pilot projects that show strong cases and that are published first. Thank you very much. From your side, I always get a little bit philosophical take at the questions, and today again. So thank you for exploring this contradictions for us in this context of municipalities as potential supporters or members of energy communities. And that brings us to our last presenter. So we're moving to Romania, and we're having Georgiana Nedelea. And well, I think you are going to tell us yourself where Romania is standing, and well, where do you see weak points, and what are your suggestions for improvement? Over to you.
Thank you very much, Katharina. Hello, everyone. I'm Georgiana Nedelea from the Northeast Regional Development Agency in Romania. So today I will present a bit how citizens can be empowered in Romania, even if maybe the legislation is not so quite good. So across Europe and increasingly here at home, we see a growing interest in renewable energies and in innovation and in a new way of working together.
And so, Georgiana, we see a black audience window. Enter full screen mode.
I am in full screen mode. Just a second, please.
Yes, now it's good.
Okay. So the context in which Romania must act is demanding because climate and environmental risks are accelerating. Many households still struggle with energy vulnerability, and the EU expects fair, inclusive, and rapid transitions. This means that technical solutions are alone and not enough. And although the public consultation is required by law, in practice it remains largely symbolic. This is because citizens are rarely involved early in the process, or the processes are hard to access, and feedback also has no influence on decisions. So the diagnosis that we made in Zero Energy Project, in which we are involved, confirms this. The participations tend to be mostly procedural, and a procedural checkbox, and not a meaningful opportunity. This sometimes can create frustration and low trust on social acceptance, especially for renewable projects in rural areas. I want to highlight in this slide that a one-size-fits-all approach to the energy transition doesn't work in Romania.
Georgiana, we're seeing still the slide with consultation isn't participation and only half of the screen.
Just a second, please. It's changed. I don't know why this discrepancy between our my screen and the audiences. Sorry. Maybe I will stop share and do it again.
Yeah, it worked before very well.
Yes, it did.
Okay, let's try again.
Yes, in a second.
If it doesn't work, we have it as PDF.
Just a second. I won't let technology ruin my presentation.
Yes, and you made such a nice one.
Okay.
All right.
Okay. Now
We're
it's good.
back. Yeah.
So was I said that one size fits all approach to the
It's not good. Now we have again audience window. Can you unshare, Vladimir? Show the
Now?
PDF, please,
Now
and
it's
we
good?
just move on because this is not working. We lose too much time. Sorry, Georgiana.
Sharing it in a second.
Yeah. Can you please unshare?
Yeah.
Yeah. So essentially, you're saying that there's citizen mistrust because the consultation is just like ticking a box, but not really wholehearted.
And another problem that it's very common in our country is that communities are aging in the rural areas, and people live for urban area. These are mostly for the younger people, and a lot of homes still rely on wood heating. And buildings are old or poorly insulated. And on top of that, the limited digital access make it harder for citizens to join consultation or stay informed. So that slide, it's
Further.
yes, another one. This one. So this slide is actually a reminder that meaningful participation must start from where communities truly are and not where we assume they are, and to adapt our regulation in such a way to speak their language, to make the ground and explanation why renewable are the best approaches and why it's good for the communities to be involved. And going back in the less positive note, our system maybe is not prepared for meaningful citizen involvement because we still face insufficient institutional capacities, sometimes fragmented governance, and lack of incentives for developers to engage communities in the legacy of distrust from decades, from top-down decision-making. And this is the digital divide and low civic energy literacy. And we understand why participation is currently rare and inconsistent. Maybe if we go a bit to the slide 6, I can tell that we are not starting from the scratch. 6, 7. Next one, please. We, in the Syrenergy project, in the study visit, we could see examples that are very powerful. Like I will highlight only 2 today because it's a very large discussion. But for the Basque country, we have Equiola, that is a public-private initiative supported by the Basque Energy Agency. So their model is very simple but extremely powerful. The project is designed and permitted upfront by professional partners, and not only and only then the citizens invited to join as cooperative members and co-owners. Through this setup, people can cover their entire electricity consumption with the energy produced by the cooperative PV plant. And what makes Equiola special is not only the cooperative model itself, it's the way that they actively engage citizens through local information points, public meetings, and strong involvement of municipalities. And for the second example, that came from Blekinge region, they have a Windkraft association that is shown that citizens are willing to invest and to co-own wind turbines when the model is very transparent and accessible. So over time, the cooperative has grown to hundreds of members, proving long-term sustainability. And in parallel, the Blekinge offshore wind project illustrated how large-scale renewable infrastructure can gain social acceptance when developers engage openly with fishermen, local authority, and community groups. I've gathered the detailed information about each partner in our website, so I'm doing my communication manager duties today. And you will find the link to each stories in our news webpage. So in the next slide, we are having in view the consideration already described in slides summarizing the 4 areas we need to strengthen to make energies communities work in Romania. First, the governance and legal framework. We need to have clear rules and simpler, fair approval processes. Second, financing. Citizens must have accessible ways to invest and benefit directly. Third, local capacities and coordination, because many municipalities want to engage, but they need skills, support, and better cooperation across levels of governance. And finally, participation and social justice. That engagement must be structured and meaningful and not symbolic like it is now. So on the next slide, despite the challenges, Romania has strong foundations, high public support from renewables, strong natural resources, a growing prosumer movement, expanding digitalization, and increasing civic engagement. So these ingredients exist, but our task is to connect. The next one, please. So our task is to connect solar, wind, hydro, and biomass resources with the emerging innovation ecosystem, the active local initiatives, and the access to EU funding. A fun fact, one of the reasons that Romania starts from a strong position is our hydropower sector, because Romania has traditionally been one of the top hydropower producers in the EU, with more than a quarter of our electricity historically coming from hydro plants. This is because we have a very favorable geography, mountain rivers, basins, strong natural flows, and a long tradition of dams and reservoir infrastructures. So if we align all these strengths with participatory models, Romania could become community-driven renewable energy champion. So on the next slide, to conclude, unlocking citizen power is not a luxury, it's a necessity. A fair, democratic, and effective transition requires trust, transparency, and cooperation between institutions, development, and citizens. So thank you for your time and interest in this topic. I hope you liked it. Sorry for the problems, the technical problems.
No worries. It always looks as if we hadn't practiced, but we have practiced, you know. Well, maybe the computer is nervous because we are live. All
Probably.
right. Thank you, Georgiana. I like it that you're ending on a positive note, showing that all the ingredients are there to do better. And thank you also for your openness in showing how the Romanian authorities are still struggling with true citizen involvement. But I think it's not only a Romanian problem. Now,
No.
there's many authorities across Europe that still struggle with truly participatory processes, because this is not a traditional procedure that they have engaged on. And if today we're all speaking about participatory governance as if we had never been doing anything else, this is also giving a false picture, because let's not fool ourselves. The challenge is very real for most of us. And I'm sure that the audience and the other speakers can confirm that. So no worry, don't let your head hang down, and go for the positive ending. Are we having any questions from the audience today? We're not having any questions in the chat. What is wrong with you?
It's late.
Okay, maybe we are having too many questions to the audience. Then thank you, Georgiana. And then let's turn to our quiz for the audience to see if at least you have well paid attention, if already you're not asking any questions. All right, so let's resume the polls. And we're going to see a little bit recap what we have heard. So, which of these can be considered a primary goal of governance in an energy community? Let's see, is it maximizing tax revenue? Is it ensuring fair decision-making, accountability, and participation among members? Increasing electricity market prices? Or minimizing citizen influence over projects? Well, that's been an easy one. Yeah, good. Obviously, 100% have got the right answer. Of course, it's ensuring fair decision-making, accountability, and participation among members, which are essentially the core principles of energy community governance. So at least nobody's got that wrong. Good, then let's see next one. In Tuscany, we have seen many different legal forms. Which have been the most common legal forms adopted by energy communities? Has it been a cooperative, the unrecognized associations, for-profit corporations, or energy service companies? All right. Make sure you finalize your vote. The unrecognized association is leading with 2/3. Cooperative companies, 36%. Well, the answer is The unrecognized associations, by large, the legal form, because they were cheap and easy to set up. And the takeaway is that energy communities do not need to have a complex legal form, especially at the beginning, because our two speakers have said that this is cheap and easy to set up, and it's an easy entry-level legal form, and can be transformed into something more complex if needed later on. Okay. Next one. So, which of the typical attributes of public authorities do not represent a challenge when public authorities are participating in energy communities? So this is from Benjamin's presentation. So which of the typical attributes are not a problem? Is it that authorities don't like sharing power? That they don't want to take any risk? That authorities have ambitious targets for green energy in their territories? Or that they are not used to work alongside citizens? So which of these is not representing a challenge when working with energy communities? I see the answer B, authorities don't want to take any risk. Yeah, but this can be presenting a challenge when participating in energy communities, right? So far the leading answer is authorities have ambitious target for green energy in their territories. Maybe the question is a little bit meanly phrased with a negative in there. So let's see, what is the right answer? Well, the right answer is the authorities have ambitious targets for green energy in their territories. And of course, this does not represent a challenge when participating in energy communities. It's actually quite the opposite. Okay. Then, next poll. What good practices did Romania identify from the Basque country? Was it a consulting citizen good practice on the location and sizing of projects? Was it that consultation should remain symbolic? Or was it mandating 20% of citizen ownership for large projects? Or was it that ownership should remain fully centralized? Okay. Mandating 20% citizen ownerships is so far trending as most popular answer. And we see only 18 people voting. Have you gotten tired? Okay. All right, we only have 20 people who voted, but 90% vote for mandating 20% citizen ownership for large projects has been the good practice that Romania identified from the Basque country. And let's see if that is correct.
So the
Well,
button is not activating, but it is correct.
It is correct. Yes. All right. Good. Then let's see if you can manage to show us the last one. In Romania, which participatory barrier particularly affects rural communities? Georgiana has mentioned a few. Is it overregulation of energy communities? Is it digital inequalities and limited access to online participation? Is it overly long consultation periods or universal broadband access? Well, I haven't seen universal broadband access to constitute a barrier in rural communities yet. maybe the absence of it? Yes, and you've all got it, almost all got it right. The correct answer is, of course, the digital inequality combined with the aging population, the digital illiteracy and limited access to online participation constitute quite a strong barrier to participatory processes in rural Romania. Good. So the takeaway here is that it's important to ensure if you launch a participation that all participants can actually participate. It doesn't have to be necessarily only through online means. One can make use of in-person assemblies or use some mobile outreach teams to meet the rural populations on site. Maybe use the Sunday at church to speak with them afterwards, or some mixed format engagement. There's other ways to make the consultation real also in the rural areas. Thank you for participating in these polls. And we have a little time for one question that I want to discuss with our speakers, Georgiana, Susanna, and Greta. Why don't you turn on your camera? And I wanted to speak about the optimal size of an energy community. And I wanted to have each of yours opinion. You said that some RECs are too small to survive in the long term and that smaller energy communities could join to a larger one. Is there an ideal size? And what actually makes a thriving energy community? How do we define this?
Well, as I said, there is not the perfect model of REC. One can work in a special way if it is in that territory which is small and so on. Another one can work if it is bigger. The tendency here in Italy is now to become members of the national REC. I mean, small RECs are deciding to join the national REC in order to avoid costs, management costs, because they feel protected from the mother REC. I don't know if it's quite a virtual REC. It's not a real REC.
I haven't heard about a national REC.
There is one. There is, and Greta can support this idea. This is something that we don't like, of course, but there are some emerging, and they are attracting small realities because they want to become a REC, but they don't know, they don't have the know-how, they don't have the resources. Someone is going to them and say, come with me, I will explain you all the things, you don't have to do nothing, I do everything for you, and so this becomes
Oh, this is an interesting development. I didn't have that on the radar, but that means that it's a virtual REC, and that also means that the grid is used and not relieved, because a really local REC can help with grid congestion. I mean, can counter it if the sharing remains at the low voltage level or is behind the meter. But in your case, the grid is fully used, right?
Yeah, apparently.
Right.
Yeah, this is something to be taken care of, and maybe it's something just developing now, so it's something new coming. So we will have some development in the near future.
Okay, but apart from this virtual national REC, like what is a thriving REC? How big does it have to be, or why do you say some are too small? What are the factors that it would then fail in the long run?
But the problem is sometimes the cost, the management cost, and the setup cost, the professional figures they need. So yes, so small RECs have more problems than the bigger ones. Sometimes small municipalities, they link together, and we have like a provincial we say here in Italy we have the province, so and so they can abate a bit the costs, and it's a bit easier for them.
Yeah, I was wondering, is there a level for the intermediate administrative level to play, like below the region and above like a group of municipalities? In Spain we have the Mancomunidad. In Belgium we have the Intercommunal. In Germany we have the district. In Italy we have the provinces.
Exactly. And we have the example of our best practices. That is the area vasta. Is called is a vast area, big area, which is led by the province, which is the one that has promoted the REC and has gathered 8 municipalities that we're joining the REC. This was last week. They were constituted as a REC, and this helps a lot the small municipalities because they can rely on the experience, because also the Livorno province is in European projects, so they have the skills, the knowledge of how to deal with this. And also the financing. They are looking for financing, of course. In fact, this REC is the one that we as agency are accompanying with in the framework of Invece project, where we are accompanying 2 RECs because they won kind of call that we promoted in the Invece project. The Livorno province is one of these.
All right. So that would then be actually not in line with the target that has been called by the European Commission for energy communities, which last week we saw is like 1 energy community in each municipality larger than 10,000 people. This is interesting, and I think we will hear a little bit more about that as we see more experience coming on. And we have reached the end of our webinar, and it's time to conclude with key takeaways from each of you. So I invite, well, we have lost Benjamin, who needed to run. Then why don't we start, Georgiana? What are your key takeaways from today?
So I think we must ensure the meaningful participation and not the symbolic one, like in our cases. We must build, I think, transparent and inclusive governance, and embed social justice in all steps that we make in the process.
That are good takeaways. How about Greta?
But I think that public administrators are, I mean, they must play an important role from legislation point of view, but also to be in the process.
That for sure. That is certainly not wrong. That we have already established. Thank you, Susanna.
Yes. I would like to bring home the key of today's webinar that helped us a lot to change experiences, and this is thanks to you, Inter-Europe Policy Learning Platform, and this is what we bring at home today, because we will have this kind of cooperation also, not only between partners of the same project, but also the cluster that you created last year with the same subject we are dealing with, the energy communities. So we are really growing thanks also to these experiences.
Yes, this has been a very productive cluster, and I'm really, really happy because the projects are really aligned on a common thematic. I mean, not exactly the angle, but the core theme is common. So this was the natural thing to do. And I'm really, really happy. And I think I can also speak for my colleagues to see how you exchange across projects and how we can facilitate that. And it is great fun to accompany you. And every year you come with more concrete things. And now we already see the pilot actions. So I'm sure next year we're going to hear more from that as well.
Yeah.
So I would say I have taken back home that we need to talk about size and of course the social dimension, and these are our tasks for the next year. Simon and I will see how we can best bring these topics to the community and how you can contribute to that. And so thank you for preparing your presentations, for your time. Thank you for the audience for staying with us and for participating, even though not with questions, but very actively in the quiz. And my colleagues, well, for making this happen. So good afternoon. And well, if I don't see you anymore, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Thank you to you too.
Bye-bye, and thank
Bye.
you.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.